Just keeping an eye on the numbers. There's only one person on at the moment, according to this. Might be there's a little bit of a delay. Okay. Still only showing one person. Interesting. Whether that's a delay or not. Let's see if the numbers go up a little bit after a couple of minutes. If not, then I'll go to YouTube. Still only one person showing on there, my end. No comments. So whether they are suppressing that, stopping it, or the signal's not dropping out, so it should be fine. Criminals and cheats. Okay, we've got 27 people on here now. Okay, that's the first time I've seen the numbers go above 1. So, hi everyone. I hope you're doing really well. I'll carry on here for a bit, see how it goes. This is on a multi-stream platform, so I don't know how good the signal is going to be. It seems as though they don't want me to be doing this. So every time I come on here, the signal drops out quite frequently, and sometimes I can't even go on there at all. So I'm just going to give a little bit of an update in relation to a little bit of the evidence. I'm just finding stuff continuously, and people are sending me some stuff through as well, which is going into the document as well. So thank you so much to those people that are sending me evidence through as well. Just a little bit of a summary. I was in the police for 18 years, and since 2022, I've acquired irrefutable evidence of decades-long international government fraud, which is now linking into the Vatican, to the falsified prophecies, into the obvious evidence now that the entire system we're living under is completely criminal, has been set up by people. It seems the overwhelming evidence is it seems that they are drinking the blood of the innocent and transfusing it into their body. You know, I don't say this lightly. It's tying in with vampirism, and I don't mean people with fangs and capes, but we seem to have a group of individuals running the world that like to drink, unfortunately, the blood of the innocents. It's all the way through the research. I can't ignore it. You know, as crazy as it sounds and as awful as it sounds, it's there for everyone to see. Now, either they have deliberately positioned that evidence to expose themselves to that, or it's true. You know, now, would it be the first one? And now, of course, we've got the king has just recently gone to America and been involved with Donald Trump, and articles are emerging now that they are long distance cousins. Well, King Charles has already admitted that he is a descendant of Vlad the Impaler, and now that means that Donald Trump is going to be linked to Vlad the Impaler. Now, remember, I'm talking about the evidence here of the blood of the children in all of this. So, you know, it's huge what I'm saying. And I'm just finding evidence all of the time. And as the system becomes exposed, they become cornered into a very difficult situation. Okay, now I've noticed we've only got 32 people on here. It seems to be lower when I'm doing the multi-stream. All right, but I'll do it a little bit on here, and then I might flip over to YouTube or just one of them later. So now we've got this, you know, very serious concern that either it's been set up to expose them as being involved in this, or they are. And if they are, then the world is in a very serious, dangerous position, because this is tying into the falsified prophecy element of this. And the information suggests that if they are drinking the blood or transfusing the blood through transfusions, it seems as though they can't help themselves doing it, and they're almost in this state of hell themselves, and that they're potentially, some of them, even suicidal over this. Now, there's information supporting that that's possibly how they are feeling, that they can't help what they're doing. They don't want to carry on doing it, but they can't stop, and nobody's stopping them. which then, of course, is that where they're trying to lead towards the prophetic conclusion and try and trigger falsified prophecy to end all of creation because of that. That's something that we have to seriously think about now with this evidence that I'm finding. But anyway, I'm going to just go into some stuff that I've recently found. And again, this is thanks to other people that I've found this information, some of this. A couple of very quick little bits of evidence, which is quite concerning. On the 29th of April 2026, articles emerged that certain cancer types are on the increase with young people. If true, then this is almost certainly deliberate and likely involves the technology in place by our governments and their criminal system as they become exposed. And they've named 11 types of cancer they're claiming. This was on the BBC. They're claiming is on the increase with young people, and it actually mentions a 23-year-old dying of bowel cancer. Now, if this is true and there is an increase and young people are being affected, it will be deliberate, 100% deliberate by our governments, by those at the head of the police, by the intelligence agencies, by the governments running our system. And I suspect it will be using the technology that they've got in place, along with potentially putting things in the food chain, the water and the air. Now, this is horrendous what I'm saying. Nobody needs to fear. Nobody needs to worry about this. You simply need to follow my strategy, which will end all of this very, very quickly. All right. And that needs to be citizens' arrests of the solicitors, starting with all solicitors. They've all been centralized to the criminal network. You expose those citizens' arrest peacefully, legally. You don't shout, you don't swear. You have a script, which I'm putting in my document, but it's very simple. You just literally say to the organizations on video that their organization is identified as a centralized criminal government network that facilitates the crimes against the children, against humanity, and you therefore believe that they are conspiring to allow that fraud to continue. You're not saying that individual is involved in the crimes against children. You're addressing them as their organization. It's all been centralized, everybody. All solicitors are centralized to the blood of the children. I've got the evidence. It ties in with the Sweeney Todd group they've created, which links to vampirism via an actual character that was created at the same time that Sweeney Todd was created. And it looks as though they were telling us it through that character how they were actually feeling and that they can't go on with what they're doing. So it's down to you to stop them, okay? And it needs to be done through the strategy that I'm giving you as soon as possible. You cannot be delaying on this anymore, okay? So this, I believe, is where they are increasing potentially the technology to cause harm to the innocents. Yet any solicitors, all solicitors are centralized. Go and look at a company called Field Fisher, okay, and on Company's House, Field Fisher LLP. If you go and look in each of the directors, there's over 300 directors. You'll see solicitors attached to most of them. They've all been centralized. Well, the Field Fisher is the solicitor for the BBC. All right. In there, you will see Mishcon Dereya. That links to the Dereya family, which links to my investigation at Exbourne Manor. The Dereyas are linked to the threat of directed energy in the cell towers by a company called ICNIRP, okay, that was involved in supposedly trying to regulate the non-ionizing radiation from mobile phones and from cell towers. It's all a fraud. They're all part of it. So now they've got this technology. It seems as though they are potentially increasing it to remove a lot of humanity, if that article is true. So I've got to consider that maybe that's not happening, but I'm sorry to say, yeah, you don't need the document, to be honest with you. They've told you in the Epstein files what they're up to, not to the extent that they're up to. You should be going and arresting the solicitors anyway, based on the Epstein files that they've told you about. All right, this is very much likely them saying, well, we've told them, they're not doing anything, let's get rid of them, or let's do whatever it is, because they're not going to stop us because they're all cowards. That's what they'll be saying. They'll be mocking us, laughing, and they'll be thinking that we're cowards because we're not even doing anything. All right. Now, I will be getting the document out, but you don't need the document. They're telling you what they're doing through the news, through the Epstein files. You should be out there now arresting the solicitors. That is what you need to be doing. So we've had this increase in cancer apparently with young people, which, as I've said, suggests that they are increasing their technology against humanity, if it is true. Some of the other things that have come out recently, which again is concerning, on the 30th of April 2026, articles emerged of concerns by investors as Meta, Google, and other tech firms aim to invest 650 billion into artificial intelligence. So this is now, they're escalating a move into artificial intelligence even more as it is becoming exposed. And it is all linked into the child trafficking, the blood of the children, and the inversion and the deliberate drive away from creation and into destruction, into a prophetic conclusion. So that is another huge sign. And even the investors are claiming that they are concerned and they are stopping investing in these technological companies. All countries are bad. Somebody's put which do you think is the best country? They are all compromised by this, right? Everywhere I've been, even in the middle of nowhere, the trouble is all governments are compromised by the blood of the children, according to all of my research. All right, because of the vampirism connection that I'm finding into this. And again, I don't mean people with fangs and capes, but the evidence is suggesting that we've got, it seems to be more people than I was hoping involved in the crimes against the children and the actual blood element of the children. And it will also be, people within going into the care system as well that aren't children. But it does seem as though the children are the biggest element in this. And this would explain why you've got UNICEF. It was set up in 1946, linked to the United Nations, all set up, around this criminal system, tying in with the blood of the children. And UNICEF gave them the ability through the international conflicts by funding both sides, setting up a fake conflict, and then taking the children from those conflicts and then using their blood and their organs in the criminal system I've told you about. So we've got this. Artificial intelligence is on the increase as well. $650 billion they are now funneling into it. Now that lead towards the end of certainly most of you that are innocent, according to the research, have to consider that it's a deception for me. However, I've got to give you the evidence. If I'm concerned about you and the children and the safety of humanity, then of course I need to give you this evidence. The other thing that there's recently happened, which is very important, is in the last few days, articles have come out that they are now banning all phones in schools with children, from children. Now, normally I would have said a few months ago, a couple of years ago, I would have said, that's a great thing, get the kids off their phone. I am now concerned that what they're doing potentially is moving into the ability to take children from the school during some sort of lockdown situation, all right, and then put those children into the harvesting of the blood and the organs. I've got to consider that now with the evidence. So if they remove their phones, then the children don't have the ability to call for help or ask for help, whatever's going on in the school, you see. And this ties in, I believe, with the lockdown drills that they have been conducting for a very, very long time in the school, for a while, tying with the viruses. So the signal keeps going. The signal keeps going as I'm talking about this. It's fine on YouTube, it's fine on everything else, but they don't like it when you're live streaming. I'm going to go over to YouTube. Trouble is, I don't know how many people are going to be on there, and I don't think people are getting the notifications when I'm coming on anyway. So, but we'll go over there. We'll see. The trouble is, because I've got it set up on there, they've probably got so many people that are compromised on YouTube. I don't know how many innocent people I'm going to be getting through to. I'll carry on for a while on here, I think. So now I've researched this this article. If I could just find it on here. So they basically said they're going to ban all the phones now. There's legislation going through that the children are not going to be able to have phones on them at all during the school day, which makes the children now vulnerable. Bearing in mind what we've been talking about with all of this. I'm just going to find the right screenshot. And, you know, I wouldn't be saying this if I was not genuinely concerned with all of the evidence that I'm getting. I mean, I'm now finding, because I've identified the connection to the blood of the children, I'm now recognizing the signs within the Companies House records that allows me to confirm straight away that it ties back into the blood of the children and the vampirism. And as I've said, I don't mean fangs and capes. Okay, it seems very likely that they've established a way to extend life for a select few using the blood of the innocents by rejuvenating the blood within the body and transplanting organs into the body frequently, which enables them to live longer. And they're doing it through a complete criminal system, everybody. Well, I'm just going to try and find. On the 28th of April 2026, you've probably seen it on the news, articles emerged regarding the co-founder of Superdrive facing apparent allegations of rape. He's now been convicted of that, I saw today. Superdrive to the blood of the children and connects to my upbringing as well. Its name had been Superdrive PLC from 2018 until August 2025, after I exposed its link to Jeffrey Epstein within my research. Okay, so this is Superdrive that we're talking about. It has Irwin Mitchell LLP on. Makes the link directly to Field Fisher. Again, Field Fisher is the company that the BBC has the contract with. That's their solicitor. Okay, it links to the BBC, it links to the Royals, it links to the, and we're talking immediately, to the main currency producer, it links to the De Reyes, the Vatican, Sweeney Todd Group, and also linking into the vampirism via that. Okay, all connected straight away from Superdry, and the CEO has just been convicted of rape. I'll just read you this as well whilst I'm on here. Where is it? Thanks to somebody that gave me this information. This was today. I was sent an article regarding the son of former Hampshire Mayor Nahid Ejaz, who has been, I'll read you the article, some of it. It says a former mayor and her rapist son who worked together to stall police. Now the police are involved, okay? So this is the police trying to make you believe they're doing something about the crimes against the children to delay what they are planning, everybody. They are not doing anything about this, okay? They are allowing the blood of the tortured children, all tying in this to continue. This is why they've set up criminal organizations verifying criminal organizations' details, and then telling Companies House that they verified the details. It's flawed. They're trying to remove the accountability from the government, but allow the non-verification to continue. The only reason they would do that is because they are still desperate to launder money into their agenda, into whatever it is they're involved in, which is the blood of the children, according to all of the research and how that ties in with the international drug trafficking trade. And then fulfill whatever agenda there is that it is that they're aiming for. Okay, they are biding their time. So one of their tactics is they have to make you believe that they're doing something about the crimes against the children, but they're not talking about the real issue with what's going on with the children, which is what I'm talking about. They're just making it seem as though, I mean, it was obviously very serious, the sexual abuse of children and also rapes and stuff like that, but they are using that to hide the real issue of what I am exposing to everybody. All right, this is absolutely 100% true. that that is all a deception. They are not resolving it. So anyway, the former mayor of Hampshire. Let's just go back to what I was telling you there, and then I'll just show you a little bit of research. Haven't done a lot on it, but it's enough to confirm. So the article says, former mayor and her rapist son, who worked together to stall police after they turned up at their home to question him about the attack, have been jailed. I doubt very much they've gone to jail, everybody. Nahid Ejaz, 61, from Bracknell Forest Council's first Muslim mayor. She was Bracknell Forest first Muslim mayor. This is not about Muslim faith. This is not about Christian faith. This isn't about Judaism. They've infiltrated all faith groups, okay, and it looks as though they might have actually written some of the scripture and the documents for those three main Abrahamic faiths to involve the blood in those Abrahamic faiths. So she was, as I said, the first Muslim mayor for Bracknell Forest, and she was selected in May 2023 after I had started exposing the fraud. But she quit her role as a Labour councillor in October 2024. So this is as I continued the exposure, and they're realising I'm exposing more. People start dropping back from the organisations and the governments, you see. She was jailed for 3 years, supposedly after being found guilty of perverting the course of justice following a trial at Winchester Crown Court. Company's House shows this name, exact same name, Nahid Ejaz, connected to two companies, including Berkshire County Recycling Limited, that had been incorporated in 2017, and it dissolved in April 2022. As I conducted earlier inquiries at Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and not long after, Deborah Fleming resigned from the NHS as a CEO to become involved in my inquiries. Remember, this is Hampshire, where Deborah Fleming was the CEO of the NHS, which then ties into the blood of the children, okay, through the medical industry. Okay, so I'm almost 100% sure what they've been doing is making you ill, and sometimes very often killing people, I would think, based on the evidence, but making the majority of people ill and not killing them, so that they have to go into the healthcare system and then using that to draw the blood, sometimes to cause and I think the cancer's being caused deliberately, because then that allows more serious conditions and more blood transfusions to take place. And then that gives them the ability to steal the blood from the humans. And I believe that what they are using, or I suspect what they are doing, is using the blood drained from halal meat in relation to the Muslim faith, refining it enough so that people can live long enough so that it doesn't raise too many suspicions, and using that blood in the transfusions of humans, particularly when there are full body transfusions, and then they can steal the full body's blood from those individuals, put the animal blood in them. And some people, I've actually spoken to people where people have died fairly quickly within like 3 or 4 or 5 years after they've had a transfusion. Now, of course, it's very likely that they're actually now claiming, I suspect with all of this that I'm finding, that they're claiming people are ill, that they are finding cancers when they are not actually, they haven't even got cancer. All right, this provides that motive for them to say that people are ill. If you go in sometimes for a routine check, and then I've heard many people say it, they've gone in for one thing and suddenly they're saying they've got cancer. Well, this now provides the motive for them to say that. God, just criminals. You really, they've just shut me off then for a while. Unbelievable. They don't, not allowed to speak the truth, everyone. They're just cutting me out. And then they're compromising all of my social media. A lot of the people on there are going to be compromised by this. I'll carry on. Got to try my best. So this gives the motive to say that people are ill when they are not, so that they can then take the blood from them. She's also connected to, this is back to the former mayor of Hampshire, Ijaz is connected to Black and White Cars Limited that had been incorporated in August 2012 and it dissolved in 2014. Luminous Accounting and Companies Made Simple are on its incorporation document. Companies say Made Simple makes the connection to the paedophile information exchange and the World Trade Center disaster. Luminous Accounting Limited between the Christchurch earthquake and the death of Jimmy Savile, A1 Company Services and 788 to 790 Finchley Road is on the incorporation document, making the direct connection to the accountant for Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigation began. To international dictators, mafia, and corrupt politicians, and the pornography industry linked to the crimes against children via Pornhub, and much more. Well, I'm just going to find you the other articles of the phones being taken from the children. I've mentioned about the artificial intelligence. They're now driving towards that. That is a drive towards the end of creation. Elon Musk has even said that we're almost at the point of singularity with artificial intelligence. And yet here he is involved in driving us towards artificial intelligence even more. The point of singularity is the point of no return with artificial intelligence, where it will potentially take over everything and destroy all of humanity. And yet there they are now pumping $650 billion back into AI, even though they're claiming it could end all of creation, everybody. It's just unbelievable. And you need to do something, everybody. No one's going to come and save you. They're all involved. You can stop this very, very easily. You just need to follow my strategy, which is a case of saying some words to solicitors to start off with and see how that goes. Where? And then in a minute, we're going to be talking about some evidence, which is very good, critical evidence, which proves the collaboration again, or supports the evidence, shall we say, proves it, I think, but the collaboration between the Russian government and the United Kingdom government in everything that's going on, to prove to you that it is a lie about the international conflicts, all to do with the children. And you are all funding it, everybody, and you are all being made to pay, well, not made, you're consenting to allow your own demise. It's really quite unbelievable what's going on, according to all of the research. Sorry, it's back this way, I think. I've got quite a few things I'm going to be talking about if the signal stays on. You can still, right, listen, all you need to do, I'm in the process of working on the document. Literally go in there now and just say what you think. As long as you're polite, Air Force Dave, you just need to go in now and you need to arrest them. All right, use your own words. I would say something similar to, your organization is part of a centralized criminal system that's facilitating the crimes against, it's very simple, right? Facilitating the crimes against the children and against humanity. I therefore believe, or we therefore believe, that you are conspiring to allow the fraud to continue, and therefore you need to remain here. We're going to call the police. You then call the police, explain the same thing to the police, ask if they're connected or affiliated to the Freemasons. You video the entire lot, and you then publicize that video. If they don't arrest them, you can step back, expose the police, expose the solicitors, publicize that video. You've done nothing wrong, completely peaceful and legal. You don't need the document to do what I've just told you, right? That's now becoming an excuse, right? You literally just go in and they've even told you in the Jeffrey Epstein files, everyone, you don't even need my evidence. So I'm now really thinking that a lot of people on here are compromised by this, because you should be out there starting to go and do what I'm suggesting. If you're innocent in this and you really care about the children, you need to be going and doing this. There is no other way, as far as I can see, with all of the evidence I've got. Oh, here we are. Yeah. No, that's not it. Let me just go. I'm just going to start from the beginning, and then it's easier, and then I'll come to it as I'm going. I'm working on the document. I'm literally trying to put everything I'm finding into it. So it's just very, very time consuming. And I know it's frustrating. You don't actually need it now. Cause, you know, it's blatantly obvious what needs to happen, people. And if you're innocent, this is what you need to do. Will the police not ask us if we have any evidence, though? Yeah, because then you can say, contact Gary Waterman. You can give them my email address, couldn't you? You could give them my email address, or you could say, look up Gary Waterman's YouTube or TikTok, and you could say he's got the evidence. Those now, many of you have got the document. Those of you who've got the document, this is what you need to be doing based on the document you've already got. Okay, people have got it that are on here. They can be sent the old document. There's enough evidence in there to go and arrest the whole lot, to arrest all of them. The fact that, ask yourselves, right, they've been telling you about the Epstein files. Who's actually been convicted? Nobody. Why is that? That's enough for you to go and arrest everybody. You now believe they're all conspiring to allow it to continue, even without my document. Nobody's been convicted. They're not arresting anyone. Okay. It's obvious. This is what you need to do. You don't need my document. Conspiring is a very broad offense. Okay. Conspiring to allow fraud to continue. Very, very simple, easy offense. You literally just need to go in there and you need to do it. So on the 20th of April 2026, articles emerged that phones are being banned in schools, meaning children can be at further risk from the criminal system with no way of contacting for help. This, in conjunction with the lockdown, gives that ability for them, and we have to consider this is what they are planning, or at least potentially planning, to lock down the schools, take the children into the child trafficking blood network, and get rid of the adults. We have to seriously consider this with all of this evidence I'm getting. Obviously, if the phones are taken from the children, they've got no way to phone for help, no way to actually message and let their parents know what's going on in the school. This is something you have to seriously consider now with all of this information and evidence. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's definitely, but look, I've got 50 police reports. None of them are even being responded to, everybody. This is an alarming time. They are backed into a corner. There's nowhere for them to go with this evidence now. It's so obvious. You really do need to step up now and save the children, everybody. Have they tried taking... Oh, what was that? Have they tried taking phones away from the kids? Yeah, might be interesting. The legislation's just going through. I think it's all been passed, or it's going through at the moment, so they're going to stop it. Now, obviously, we would normally be thinking, well, that's great, get the phones off the... But now, unfortunately, with all of this, I think there's a more sinister element to all of it. I mean, the evidence is massive, I'm finding. So if you really do care about the children, you really need to step this up. So anyway, this article, it says Education Minister Baroness Jackie Smith told the House of Lords on Monday that the government would table an amendment to its landmark Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, creating a clear legal requirement for schools on the matter. The Department for Education, in brackets DFE, this becomes important in a minute, said the move would give legal force to what schools are already doing in practice. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson had written to schools earlier this year encouraging them to follow new guidance. External guidance, that schools be phone free for the entire day. Phones to be banned in schools is the article. Go and have a little look at it. Research shows that Jackie Smith, Baroness Smith of Malvern, was born in 1962, is a British politician, broadcaster, and life peer who has been serving as Minister of State for Skills since 2024, as I was escalating the exposure of the fraud. It's obvious they're moving people around, right? Getting people in position that are really, I suspect, I mean, you're going to see some evidence in a minute, are really involved in the crimes against the children, or facilitating it at least, getting everybody in position for their agenda in all of this. That's what all of the information is suggesting. She's been a member of the Labour Party. She was a member of Parliament for Redditch from 1997 to 2010. Smith previously served as Home Secretary under Gordon Brown from 2007 to 2009 and was the first woman to hold the position. So Gordon Brown, I've confirmed, is implicated, linked straight into the facilitating the crimes against the children and his wife into the international criminal network. 2007 was the year that Madeleine McCann went missing when she was positioned. That's also when Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited was incorporated on Companies House. And then she stopped her position as the Home Secretary in 2009. That is when I became a director of Exmoor Manor, and when the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated on Companies House, and loads of other things has happened as well. Now, she was the Home Secretary between those times. That means she was overseeing the constabularies, okay, around the country. And the police are massively implicated with the blood of tortured children, the abuse, torture, and murder, according to all of the research, of babies and children, and the blood that they're taking from them through that process. And the Freemason network is a massive part of it, according to all of the research. A Companies House search shows that Smith is connected to 4 companies, including the Joe Cox Foundation, already shown in the research, and making important connections to the apparent murder of Joe Cox in 2016 as the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed. The evidence from that links into massively important connections into the criminal network that I've found. And it links into the apparent child trafficking driven network, and on its incorporation document for the Joe Cox Foundation, Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's, which is on the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, that links pretty much all areas of the Companies House frauds together with children. Not too sure how much you heard of that because the signal went. But the Joe Cox Foundation, go and look at it. On its incorporation document, you'll see Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's. Then go and look at the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales that links all areas of the fraud practically together. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite's on the incorporation document, everybody. Okay, so it links into the blood of the children. In relation to the acronym for the Department of Education, DFE, remember, Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales links to Charles. Charles has already confirmed he's a descendant of Vlad the Impaler, which ties in with the vampirism, the blood of the children. Now, as I've said earlier, we've now got Donald Trump, according to articles that I've seen, several of them, he's now a descendant of Vlad the Impaler as well. So the acronym DFE for the Department of Education, mentioned earlier, Companies House shows DFE UK Limited, D.F.E.UK in brackets Limited, was incorporated in 1998 and has other education as its nature of business. Blackfire Secretaries is on its incorporation document and in the people record, and connects to almost 1,700 companies. A separate search shows a duplicate record for Blackfire Secretaries Limited, connected to just 17 companies, including Gordon Properties, with a registered address of 7 Bell Yard, London, and Temple Secretaries, and 780 to 790 Finchley Road is on its is in its people record, and is used throughout the criminal network. And that links to the accountant of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, again, where my investigation began. And it links to the pornography industry via Pornhub, which links to the crimes against the children as well. Okay, because what they're doing is they're claiming that they're trying to regulate it, but they're not. They're allowing the paedophile content within the pornography industry deliberately, everybody. It's obvious now. Obvious. A separate search shows this is our police, intelligence agencies, governments, councillors, MPs, all allowing this deliberately because they're tied in to the blood of the tortured children, the murder, abuse, and torture of babies and children. Everybody, it's massive. The evidence is obviously there to support everything I'm saying now. I wouldn't be saying it, would I? Let's face it. I'm still here. I haven't been arrested. I didn't even turn up at court on the 17th of November. 18th of November. Still haven't been arrested. They've tried to send plainclothes people to unalive me, it seems. They can't arrest me now because what are they going to do? I'm just going to expose them through it. All right. The evidence is so huge now. Well, they could arrest me, but they'd have to unalive me in prison. A separate search shows a duplicate record, as I said. We have the connection 7 Bell Yard on the address for it. 7 Bell Yard links to the paedophile information exchange, okay, via the Temple Bar, and the address linking with Sweeney Todd again. And the blood of the children, and wherever you mention Sweeney Todd, because they've created a Sweeney Todd group where all of the solicitors are centralized to, which links to Field Fisher, the creator for the Sweeney Todd, also created Varney the Vampire, which is the first ever character to do with vampirism. And then that was the first time they ever showed or talked about the fangs to do with them. And that character ended up committing suicide, as I sort of alluded to earlier. And that was back in the 1800s that character was created. And it links to the Lloyd family. It was Edward Lloyd that created those two characters. Remember, it's Lloyd's Bank that are massively involved in the international government fraud and the crimes against the children. They're on page 40 of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. And somebody within the Lloyd family married a Fleming, member of the Fleming family, in the 1920s. So this creates that link to the blood of the children, Sweeney Todd, Varney the Vampire, the Flemings, who initiated my removal. It sounds stupid saying Varney the Vampire, but there it is. Linking to my situation with my investigation, and tying the Flemings into that. They're all linked in with the Goldsmiths, the Rothschilds, international banking, crimes against children, the blood through the, obviously through the medical professions, like I said earlier. Deborah Fleming was an NHS chief executive that was retired in March 2022 to become involved with my inquiries at Exbourne Manor because they were worried what I was going to be exposing. Through this company, it also connects to HCS Secretarial, which is shown throughout my document, and Hanover Directors, which is used throughout the fraud. So that's all coming in from that information to do with the banning of the phones within the schools. And that was just a very quick bit of evidence. I haven't even gone into much detail and done a lot of research surrounding that. So very, very concerning. Now, the other thing I'm just going to be talking about is the, some of you have been following my live streams. I mentioned a connection to NATO and the United Nations to an organization called Anker, which is a Chinese company which creates devices within the home, such as speakers, etc. And there's the smart technology as well. Now, there was an article through that research that confirmed or stated that somebody had found out that it was that the devices were saving content offline on a server linked to Amazon. Okay, not only saving whatever it was recording within your homes, but also your personal details that were attached to those devices. Okay, so this tells you the United Nations and the NATO are involved and linked in to that. And now I'm going to give you some more evidence to support that this is what they're doing. And it's very likely they're doing it through the smart televisions as well, probably even when it's on standby. All right. And this isn't to protect humanity. Remember, all conflicts are a deception. They're all involved in deceptive international conflict in relation to the children and the sex industry. Okay. So it's not about security for the country. It's linking into protecting their criminal system and being able to silence people that are, you know, if they hear them speaking about something that could expose them, but also it is connected into the sex industry as well. And I'm going to give you some information that suggests that now. A search for Eufy, which is the name of the company linked to Anker, it's EUFY, go and research it. Company's house reveals Anker Technology Company and Security Camera Systems Limited as the second entry. This has been incorporated as SAL Security Services Limited on the 2nd of October 1997. Its name was changed twice in 1998 and it dissolved on the 20th of May 2025, not long after the Siemens company, which links to the Nazis and Jeffrey Epstein, changed its name for the first time since 1962, since I exposed the connection to Jeffrey Epstein. It has Wildman and Battelle on its incorporation document. Wildman and Battelle. Signal's gone, it looks like. Now they've got I've got 0 people on here according to this, even though I've got a signal now. Yeah, they're a bit worried, I think, about what I'm saying. I can't. It's saying I've got nobody on. Now I'm back. Okay, I couldn't. That was really weird. It was saying that there was nobody watching, and it was, but it wasn't saying there was no signal. That's really weird. Okay, we've got so we've got this company. I was just saying on the incorporation. Signal keeps dropping out. So as the search for Eufy, EUFY, within Companies House reveals one entry out of over 5 million. Only one comes up, and that's Eufy Z, EUFYZ, Business Processes Limited, that had been incorporated in 2017, and it dissolved in February 2019 on the lead up to the COVID deception. There is only one name, Manasa Kasleka, linked to United Arab Emirates on its incorporation document and in the people record. I suspect that these are fictional details, and it's a very similar name to Mamasa. So this was Manasa, Manasa name. Mamasa, Mamasa, has already been linked to another key bit of the research and ties into Michael Jackson's song as well, at the same year that Michael Jackson died. Very likely going to be relevant, I would think. On its incorporation document, because all of the research around Michael Jackson, it links in with Sony. Sony links in with Treuhand, or Truehand, Treuhand, which is a German organization, which becomes very, very relevant. And I'm not going to read that tonight, but that becomes very relevant. And there's been multiple apparent murders in relation to that organization. Go and read it. It's Treuhand, Truehand. Now it's almost identical to True Hand. They've just swapped the E and the U. True Hand. We know about the hidden hand within Freemasonry. Is this them telling us that this is their true hand link? There's a lot of other evidence in relation to that, but I can't deny the connection to the Church of Satan in this as well. Now, it's very difficult to know who is literally running this all, but you've got all groups are infiltrated. So they've possibly just deliberately created a very difficult chain to identify who is behind this at the top deliberately. But you have got a link into the Church of Satan in all of this. And the Church of Satan was actually named after a knight in Germany linked to Christianity. Go and research it. So anyway, going back to this, it has JKW Accounting Services Limited of an address in Leicester as well on its incorporation document. This is talking about the Eufy company, where it seems they are infiltrating your homes, right? And it also gives the ability, of course, if they identify that you're not in, then what they can do is burgle your home, say that it was a burglar, okay, and then that then creates the problem in the area potentially of the burglars. Then they can then defraud you through the tax again by funneling back in through the police, you see, by saying there's been a spate of burglaries. This is another thing they could be using this technology for. However, a separate search shows JKW Accounting that's on the incorporation document for that UVZ company. Services Limited, JKW Accounting Services Limited, same company, that had been incorporated in October 2016 after the Pizzagate scandal had been exposed. There is only one record in the People record for a Jamie Ward, born 1978, who connects to 472 companies, many of which are in the same format. This is important. The same format of names, including industrial temps with a sequential number followed by limited, and CSP recruitment followed by sequential number. And I had only ever seen those formats twice before, once coming in from the research of NATO and once coming in from an associate of the Cray twins, okay, via a Pearson name. Pearson is an associate name of the Cray twins, which links back into the criminal underworld, the crimes against the children. And I've got some more evidence. We're going to be talking about the Cray twins very, very shortly and how that ties into Hampshire. Very, very important evidence. So 472 companies, many of them are now linking back in with the Crays via this technology, in with NATO as well. And remember what I'm saying here about the link to the military and the Crays, because it becomes very important to what I'm going to be telling you shortly. A separate search for Jamie Ward, remember this entry was Jamie Ward in this company, shows that there are obviously many duplicate records and variations of details of this name linking to the same formats. So exactly the same format of company that I'd only seen linked to the Crays and to NATO, also links to other Jamie Ward names that they have created, okay, and variations. They've used slightly variations of dates of birth to create a difficult, or make it more difficult to identify the connection, if you like, in the criminal network. But I'm able to do it because I can see where it leads. One entry is for a Jamie Andrew Ward, born 1979. Remember, there's no verification, and they are still not verifying the details deliberately. They're not doing it. That tells you need to be very, very worried, because this tells you they are continuing with their criminal network and they must be planning doing something to get away with it. All right, because they are not doing the right thing to resolve it. All right, there's only one thing they could be doing, and that is making a transparent system. All right, ask yourself why I seem to be the only person with a platform on the earth that is actually asking for a transparent financial system, which means you can audit the finances, which prevents this from ever being able to happen. Nobody else, as far as I'm aware, with a platform on the planet is asking for that. That tells you how compromised people are in all of this. And remember, it's linked to the drug trade, blood, the obviously finances, trillions of pounds, also cults in all of this, and therefore you can compromise people in several different ways, through addictions, whether that's drugs, alcohol, through the money side of things, through the blood element, okay, if they're part of the element of the blood of the children, and obviously if they're part of the cult as well. And through all of those, they can also coercively control and bribe people to become part of the criminal network through those methods as well. Remember, they are behind all of the world's problems. If you resolve this in the right way, you end the world's problems forever. Forever, everybody. All right? It will be heaven on earth. No disparity between rich and poor. No discriminatory, discrimination against someone because of their skin color or because of what they believe. Fairness, integrity, equality, transparency for all of humanity. And most importantly, it will safeguard creation moving forward and safeguard the children and the innocents in all of this. Because you will be able to see where the money is being spent. At the moment, they're hiding all of the money. So this creates the motive for the lies and them using the money in very sinister agendas. And of course, remember, all of the conflicts are a deception. All right, people behind both sides of all conflicts are all involved in this. It's all a lie. It's all a deception. So, of course, you will see that a lot of the money is being funneled through those conflicts that you're being led to believe are real. And a lot of it will be going out the other side and being used in relation to all of the things that I'm telling you about. It's completely criminal, everybody. The entire system you are living under is criminal. This is a fact. So with this connection for a Jamie Ward with the same loads of same formats, on different records. But we also have a Jamie Andrew Ward connecting to Secure Media Services Limited. Interesting, isn't it? Secure Media Services Limited, which is what I'm talking about, really, isn't it? The media services within your home. All right, and they're not secure at all. Everybody, oh, the sound's gone, is it? Someone's saying there's no sound. Sound's gone. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't muted it. They've done that. They must have done that. Can you hear me now? Oh, you can hear me now. No sound. Face blue, smiling face. Can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me. People are saying. Oh, some people are saying they can. Some people are saying they can't. Oh, it's back. Okay. Yes, I hear you, Gary. Yeah, okay, that's good. So some people aren't hearing. I'll just come to the last comment. Yep. So some people are a bit are able to hear. So I'll carry on. Okay. Yeah, sound is good. Okay, brilliant. So they not only do they link to Media Services Limited. Some people are saying they can hear me. Yeah. Media Services Limited, but also Footy Picks, literally Footy, F-O-O-T-Y, Picks, P-I-C-K-S, Limited. Read into that what you will. And this had been incorporated in 2014, and it dissolved in 2016 after the Pizzagate scandal had been exposed. But look where it goes. Christian Stephen Denning connects Footy Picks Limited, remember, connected to the devices within your home that they are able to listen and watch, okay, according to the information I've got, to 9 companies, including MHA Members LLP, Member LLP, that have been incorporated in February 2025, so fairly recently, and has a registered address of Midsummer Boulevard, Milton Keynes. This is the same road and town linked on the incorporation documents immediately into the research of Ian Huntley and the death of the 2 children at Soham. Rakesh Shaunak connects MHA Members LLP to 36 companies, including Baker Tilly International Limited, that have been incorporated on the 20th of December 2001, 3 months after the World Trade Center disaster deception. Its incorporation document shows Rowe and Moore, and page 9 shows Lawrence Peter Long, Longe, connected to Faber and Summit International. Well, Faber Music Limited had already been linked almost directly into Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and the evidence suggesting Prince Harry wore the skin of Madeleine McCann, as shown elsewhere. The Summit International company had already also been linked into the Moderna vaccine, and I identified that from the research of the doctors who initiated the investigation into Lucy Letby. So it's now almost 100% sure that if those babies did die in the Countess of Chester Hospital, it would have been probably because they were taking the blood from those children to do with the blood harvesting, and they tried blaming it on somebody else. That's what I now believe happened to the babies in that hospital. So we've got these links here. Now it gets a little bit more interesting because Baker Tilly, now we've got a definite Baker Tilly connection here rather than, some of the other stuff there. It's similar, but it's not quite concrete, but it's still probably going to be there. We have Baker Tilly is already featured in the research, including to Tenon Group PLC, which is from the research of Hollywood actor Jim Carrey, directly to MSR Partners. Now remember, this is a different partners there with 3 letters as well, and MSR Partners had connected immediately in the research from Kenneth Noy, and through Kenneth Noy and from that connection you then have links to Y Films LLP, Swale Films LLP, Chelmsford Films LLP, the Invicta Film Partnership number 43, links to the intelligence agencies, to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom, to Ingenious Film Partners 2, that is on page 40 of the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, linking most areas of the fraud to my upbringing, directly to Begbie's Trainer Group PLC, making an immediate link to the Colliders Limited Company and JP Morgan, and therefore the Flemings that initiated my removal, and quickly to my families, to Calder Island Development. This is all from Baker Tilly companies through my document, immediate connections, immediately to Calder Island Development Company, Limited, in the research of Maria Farah, the first accuser of Jeffrey Epstein, and the informal parliamentary Island Group linked to Ghislaine Maxwell, to Dorset Opera, linking to Dorset Health Trust Limited, stemming from the research of the Russian, Ukrainian, and Fleming collaboration, and to a targeted individual regarding the Flemings, which I'll come to. Well, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but from that research, we're going to make a link into the craze shortly. And it connects to the British Independent Film Award, CIC, making major connections to the movie industry, of course, of which Jim Carrey is part of. So that is all stemming, going through my document and finding the connections to Baker Tilly already identified. So now we have Baker Tilly linking to all of those things, also to the devices that appear to be spying on people in their homes and potentially even recording what people are doing in front of their devices if they have cameras. Christopher Stephen Barlow connects MHA members. Remember, we've got this is that company we were talking about earlier, to 10 companies, including Bloomer Heaven Trustee Co. Limited. Well, Bloomer Heaven Limited had already been connected directly to the fraud and to a company called Help Harry, Help Others. And Project Crown Bidco Limited, immediately from the research of Princess Diana via her name of Diana Spencer. Christopher Stephen Barlow I've done that bit. Now that Help Harry, Help Others, not only have we got that connection that I told you about a minute ago into Harvey Weinstein, from that Help Harry, Help Others, you have another connection going into Harvey Weinstein from that company and into Jeffrey Epstein, and to the evidence that Harry wore the skin of Madeleine McCann, which would explain why Madeleine McCann is so important in all of this. Okay, and I think what they've done is, because it's linked so closely into Exbourne Manor, they've done it because of who I am, to let me get me to see if I would make that connection to Madeleine McCann in all of this, and expose it and find that links because of who I potentially am. Yeah, she is a whistleblower. You're absolutely right. She was the first. Maria was the first. Sorry, forgotten her name. Maria. What's her surname? Farmer. What did I? Sorry, let me just go back to. Oh yeah, I put Farah. It's Farmer. Sorry, I've missed out the M. I put Farah. So yeah, Maria Farmer. I've already researched Maria Farmer. She goes massively into the criminal network. So you've also got the name Farmer connected to. Farmer is the name of Candace Owens' husband. So it's possible, I suspect, that the Maria Farmer, is going to be related to Candace Owens' husband. And they connect into Turning Point, okay, which links to Charlie Kirk and the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the research from Turning Point links immediately into the Dunblane massacre, into Donald Trump, which then goes back in immediately to Jimmy Savile, the earthquake companies, the royal family, John Fleming, who was that initiated the removal, and then you find the link into CERN and everything else. You're talking immediately from that again. So I suspect that Maria Farmer may be a relative, as I've said, of the husband of Candace Owens, but she was the first accuser. Yeah. Where are we? So Christopher Stephen Barwell, who collects MHA members to 10 companies, I've mentioned this, to Bigco, immediately into Princess Diana. So just coming in from this Bloomer Heaven, okay, company, we then link almost immediately into the Royal Agricultural University, which makes the link to the research of the ice cube neutrino detector, which ties back into the collider threat, and Antarctica, via Thomas Holt, and possible links to Julian Assange and the Doomsday Cult, back to Exbourne Manor from that, immediately to David Langton Upton Scott, that connects immediately to the record of Charles Reginald Kirk. So here we are again, bearing in mind I've just mentioned that. That was previously, we've now got a link back in from this, which I'd forgotten about, back into Charles Kirk, who was apparently assassinated, and links quickly to Ghislaine Maxwell, to the royal family companies, as well as quickly to my wife's family and the Skinner's Academy, as shown elsewhere in the document. Another record for a slight variation of Jamie Anthony Ward, remember that's the name that we were looking at coming in from this technology, shows a Jamie Anthony Ward with the year of birth, with the same year of birth, connected to Flute Theatre that had been incorporated in 2014 and had Davies and Partners of Queen Anne Street on its incorporation document. Professor Charlotte Scott connects this company to 4 companies, including ESC Films Limited, that have been incorporated as Educational Shakespeare Company Limited. Now, Shakespeare companies had already been linked into the Eversham child abuse inquiry that I've done, and Stephen Fry and other key connections were linked into the Mind Group. And the Mind Group was set up, which is to do with mental health, was set up in 1946 as well, which was the same year that UNICEF was created to, I now believe, according to all of the research, either steal children from the international conflicts or set this whole lot of evidence up, and the World Trade Center and everything that I'm talking about, which all links together for me because of who I may be in all of this. But at the moment, I have to believe that it's all really going on. You know, I have to believe that the World Trade Center disaster really happened. All right. I have to believe that the children are suffering because they're telling us that they are. So that means it's all seemingly true, which means we're in a very precarious position on Earth right now. So ECS Films Limited had been incorporated as Educational Shakespeare Company Limited, with a little hyphen, in 1999, before its name was changed on the 9th of April 2019, 2 days before Julian Assange's staged arrest. Remember, Julian Assange is linked to the Doomsday Cult, and Deborah Fleming, that initiated my removal, is connected almost immediately to my father-in-law's financial advisor, and to Deborah Fleming and the police and crime commissioners, who also link in with Jimmy Savile, like I've just told you earlier, which, no, I didn't tell you that, but they link in with the what I told you about, from the Dunblane massacre to Donald Trump, from Candace Owens, etc. You have the link to not only CERN, earthquake companies, the royal family, but also the the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. Now, they also connect to the Doomsday Cult and to Deborah Fleming. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out there. Samuel McLean connects ESC Films Limited to Helping Hands Belfast. A company called Helping Hands had already been connected directly to British Isles Child Evangelism Fellowship, stemming from Jack Leon Gordon, who was LaToya Jackson's husband in the research of the death of Michael Jackson. Remember, we're talking about islands here. It's very, very important. And you had an informal parliamentary island group that I've connected via the company. Now, that informal parliamentary group was set up. Oh, someone's saying block. I don't know if I can block on here. Can I block? Sorry, someone's just asked that I block somebody. I can't remember what their name were now. What their name was. Is it them? Someone's put. Oh, how do I unhide that? Show. Oh my goodness. Goes to show how weak you are still. Oh my goodness. Every time I press it, it's. How do I view them? I'm pressing it and it's hiding it. I don't want it hid. I want to look at it. Oh my goodness. I think I'm just going to carry on rather than, messing around with this. But I can't even get rid of that. I can't block anyone at the moment. Just going to have to carry on. Is for some reason every time I'm pressing on the comments. Oh, there we go. Oh right, yeah. He's compromised. Obviously compromised. How do I get rid of him? How do I get rid of him? No, it won't let you block. I don't think it won't let you block. So just ignore bleeding scape, whatever his name is. He obviously likes the blood of the children and likes to abuse children, I would think. Right, let's go back to the research. I can't block anyone because I'm on a streaming device, streaming platform at the moment. So, Heather McFarlane. Oh, sorry. Carry on. Yeah, here we go. So we've got this link. British Isles Child Evangelism Fellowship, stemming from Jack Gordon LaToya Jackson's husband in the research of Michael Jackson, but also it's shown in the research to criminal company Turning Point, which again I'd already mentioned. So you've got the link Turning Point with former name Helping Hands Organisation Limited that had already been linked to Charles Kirk, Candace Owens, Donald Trump, and the NHS in the research of the Dunblane massacre, as shown elsewhere. Heather McFarlane appears to be. Oh, go back. Heather McFarlane connects ESC Films Limited. I think the film companies are what they're using to torture and abuse all of the children and take the blood, and they're filming it and using it as snuff movies and things like that. That's what I suspect, based on why the film companies are the ones that are connecting all of this together. So you've got Heather McFarlane connects ESC Films Limited to British Association of Occupational Therapists with a forged register and having been incorporated in 1945, and Royal College of Occupational Therapists that connects to Royal Air Force Club and age companies and much more via its directors. Royal Air Force Club has also featured in the research of Michael Snyder, linking directly to the Freemasons. Heather McFarlane appears to be linked to the NHS on an article that I've acquired, and to the Churchill Fellowship, which links to the family of Winston Churchill. I suspect they are related to Andrew McFarlane, same surname, the head of the family courts, and significantly implicated in the fraud, and is connected to a Collider company, as shown elsewhere in the research. Referring back to Professor Charlotte Scott, she also connects to Flute Theatre, to the Chronicle Theatre company that had been incorporated as Shakespeare around Italy in 2016, before its name was changed 9 months later, and then again on 2023 as I escalated the exposure. Jane Bridges connects this company to South Warwickshire and Worcestershire Mind Limited. Bearing in mind, I've been talking about the Mind Group that had been incorporated in 1998, and its name had been last changed in April 2022, as I made inquiries at Exbourne Manor, and shortly after Deborah Fleming retired as an NHS Chief Executive Officer to become involved in my investigation. And it dissolved on the 24th of March 2026 as the exposure continued. Mind is linked, as I've said, to the child abuse and through major areas of the criminal network via the Feversham child abuse scandal. Mark Fisher connects Warwickshire and Worcestershire Mind to 7 companies, including Britain Pears Foundation, a criminal company. And Noel MacDonald Periton connects this company to the Red House Fund Limited that features immediately in the research that I've conducted of M. Blair, who is of William M. Blier, B-L-I-E-R, the Deputy Inspector General for the US Department of Justice, or DOJ, who is now overseeing the inquiries of the Jeffrey Epstein files and whether they were released as they should have been. So it's completely compromised by the blood of the children, everybody. Even this person now they brought in as the head of the inquiries overseeing the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. They are also connected to the blood of the tortured children. The abuse, murder, torture of babies and children, the most innocent on earth. And they are all compromised, everybody. This is now overwhelming, unless the whole lot is set up as a deception for me to expose it. But why would they expose themselves to it? Someone's put Palantir is dangerous. Yeah, it is. It's definitely part of their criminal network. Gary is in denial about his marriage breakdown. Yeah, you're obviously compromised. You're probably not even a real person. Well, if you are, then you're obviously seriously deluded. And your time's coming. Don't worry. Your time's coming. Anyone that's involved in this, their time is coming. Just on another subject quickly, I happened to do a bit of research, and it identified an article in relation to Rolls-Royce from the 26th of July 2022 that Rolls-Royce will be appointing a new CEO. This was 14 days after Anthony Roberts resigned from Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Rolls-Royce and Exbourne Manor is significantly linked to the fraud and directly to the evidence that I have in relation to Madeleine McCann. Okay, so we're going to move on to the subject of the Cray twins, and thanks to somebody else that it triggered this information. On the 29th of April this year, a social media feed showed a clip of Would I Lie to You, and featured David Mitchell referring to a flat-roofed company. The following day, information was provided to me from a contact regarding the Cray twins having owned Osmley Manor in the New Forest, and it having been a nightclub. That was just information I received. However, what I find is jaw-dropping, I believe. Roofing company conducted work. Oh, sorry, where are we? Where are we? An internet search revealed the flat roofing company having conducted work at the location, but Google Maps revealed a different location, and Rightmove showed of March. Signal's going. Right, let me see if I can block him again. I don't think I can. He obviously likes babies and children, doesn't he? There we go. Block user on YouTube. There we go. Put user on timeout. Add block list to Restream chat. No, there we go. Block user. There we go. Hopefully that blocks them from coming on anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So they're gone. I figured out how to block them now. Sorry about that. So anyway, let me get back to. So I had this information that Osmley House or Manor near to Christchurch had been owned by the Cray twins at some point, and that there were a load of bedrooms in the basement. So this is obviously very near to where my investigation began. Now, I as I've said, looked for this property on Google Maps, and it brought up another location, a different location. So it looks as though they've tried hiding the connection, trying to stop me to make this connection, and we're going to see why. We're going to see why this is so important, okay? And that property that it does show went up for sale on the 26th of March this year, all right? So this tells you how worried they are about what I'm about to tell you. Now, on the article regarding the roofing company that mentions it, it says on there, on this website of the flat roof company, go and look at it yourself. If you type in Osmsley House, Hampshire, and put flat roofing company, you'll be able to see it. It says the building was used as a POW camp during the war and a base for before D-Day, as well as the Cray twins converting into a nightclub back in the day. Right now, this obviously starts corroborating what this person had told me. Wikipedia mentions the location, but does not mention the Crays at all. It appears that they're trying to prevent me from seeing some evidence. I appear to have been blocked from another website in relation to the property. And in fact, there's another couple of websites that I appear to have been blocked from. The name Osmsley, Ossemsley, Osmsley, this is from the research, probably means wood clearing. An estate called Osseley appears twice in the Domesday Book, but it is listed with places in the Boulder area, so it is thought unlikely to refer to Osmsley. However, Boulder is not far away at all. I've been to Boulder and Boulderwood. It's in the New Forest. Boulderwood is. I presume that's the same as Boulder. In 1670, Thomas Stevens is known to have been in possession of Osmsley, grade 2 listed Osmsley Manor House, changed hands a few times during the 19th century before being rebuilt in 1908 for Sir Alfred Cooper. Osmsley Manor was one of the houses in which Siegfried Sassoon's wife, Lady Hester Gatty, spent her childhood. Now, in a minute, I'm going to get to the really critical bit in a minute. Okay, I'm just building up to, because this is what I found in the order that I found it. So I'm just trying to give you the chronological evidence how I found it. But where it goes is just absolutely mind blowing. So important. Before being rebuilt in 1908 for Sir Alfred Cooper, Osmsley Manor was one of the houses in which Siegfried Sassoon's wife, as I've said, Lady Hester Gatty, spent her childhood. Sassoon himself is known to have visited the Osmsley Manor in the 1930s. In the lead up to the D-Day invasion in 1944, remember, all conflicts are deception, the battalion of the 2nd Gloucesters was stationed in tents at Osmsley Manor. It is also reported that there was a prisoner of war camp at Osmsley, but its precise location is not certain. In 1982, the manor house was converted into exclusive residential apartments and remains a private residence. And that 1982 date actually becomes relevant to the Companies House record later. Research shows that Sir Alfred Cooper, the person that owned it, was born in 1838 and died in 1908, and was a fashionable English surgeon and clubman of the late 19th century, whose patients include Bracondale, Norfolk, England, the son of William Cooper, barrister, by his wife Anna Marsh. He was educated at a merchant tailor's school that I'd already happened to research the day before for another subject, and makes connections to Savile Row and the apparent crimes against children and possible aristocratic tailoring at that location, making clothes from the skin of victims, particularly children. As a doctor and a surgeon, his speciality was in venereal disease, which gave him an unusual degree of access to and I've only just seen that. Let me just read that again. As a doctor and surgeon, his speciality was in venereal disease, which gave him an initial degree of access to and perspective on late Victorian aristocrats. Now, remember, Savile Row is linked to aristocratic tailoring, okay? And the evidence is suggesting, and it's connected to the entertainment industry in a massive way, to the Beatles. The evidence is now becoming very, very strong that Paul McCartney is probably not the real McCartney, and that the Cray twins and the what was the other name of this family, Thompson family, may have been involved in unaliving the real Paul McCartney in 1966, okay, which is the year of the foundation of the Church of Satan. However, here it says, and have the ability to access and gain perspective on late '02. 97 people on there. 1902. In 1902 coronation honours, receiving the accolade from King Edward at Buckingham Palace on the 24th of October that year. A search for Osmsley Manor also reveals a short video which mentions the 2nd Battalion side of things that we've already mentioned there. Osmsley Manor White, and when the related White House in America was named the White House, which becomes relevant to my research tying the Isle of Wight to the American government and a company called the White House Limited. Research suggests this could be Major William Murray, who was a Liberal Unionist and later Unionist Party politician in Scotland. And again at the 1922 election. I suspect he will be related to Andrew Murray's family, shown in the research of the Dunblane Massacre and linking to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom. I suspect now those children were very unlikely shot. I suspect they staged that. Sorry about that, kept cutting out for a while there. I don't know how much you missed. But I was just saying there's a Murray connection here now to this building. And I suspect that this is going to be a relation of Andrew Murray's family, who are linked to the Dunblane Massacre and who are linked to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom. Now, I have to consider with the evidence I've got now that the Dunblane Massacre was a lie. And I suspect that that was not a massacre and that they ended up, or not in the way they said, and they took the children from that, or some of them at least, from that massacre into the bloodstock industry and harvested the blood. That's what I suspect based on the evidence I've got. It's so huge now. A search reveals a Catherine Gatty later. Catherine Gillette Gatty, born 1870-1952, who was a British nurse, journalist, lecturer, and militant suffragette. As a prominent member of the Women's Social and Political Union, after going on a hunger strike in prison, during which she was force-fed, in her later years, she resided in California in the United States before emigrating to Australia, where she spent her last years. Now, that could be that name that links to the house, not 100%. Keeps going. In 68 lots. It was brought by Christchurch solicitor Harold Walker. This was in 1968. Harold Walker, who was the chairman of Bournemouth Football Club. He demolished some of the older parts. The house achieved notoriety in the 1960s and 1970s as a club ran by professional golfer Ernest Millward, but is now a Grade 2 listed building and divided into flats. The Bournemouth connection, football club connection, is significant. And I believe the solicitor involved in the acquisition of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited was H.G. Walker Solicitors, which would make a link to this building and the Crays directly now to Exbourne Manor. The Bournemouth, not only is it relevant because of that, but the acting chairman for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited was Anthony Roberts, and he worked for AFC Bournemouth as a coach driver. So now this is all making sense why Exbourne Manor is so very, very relevant. But it appears they wanted me in Exbourne Manor. They staged my introduction to Exbourne Manor. Very interesting why they did that. Potentially knowing who I may be, potentially not, and thinking I was actually part of the criminal network linked in with the Crays, because remember, my father, or my family, sorry, associated with the Cray twins, okay? So we have to consider that because it's all a secret society, they thought I was someone very prominent in the child trafficking network because my family had been linking in with the Cray twins and the blood of the children. Could this be why? That's why they positioned me in Exbourne Manor, because I am somebody of prominence in relation to either, or they thought I was someone prominent in relation to the Cray twins, but actually my bloodline could be even more important going back, and they didn't realise that. That could be why they positioned me in Exbourne Manor. Or some of them did know about the black and some of them didn't. Some knew that I was connected to the Cray twins, but some knew that actually my bloodline may have gone back even further and become even more important, and they knew I was going to be the person to expose this entire thing. We have to now consider that. But it gets even more interesting, everyone. So we now have this apparent connection to this building, to Exbourne Manor, in several ways, which means the link to the Crays, the false D-Day landing deception against all of humanity, the world wars, etc. And it only gets more interesting, everyone. The house achieved notoriety. We've got that. Yeah, we've got that. Not only did Anthony Roberts of Exbourne Manor work for AFC Bournemouth Football Club, but so did somebody called Berus Farjapur, who was a leaseholder for the building, and there was speculation that there was drugs misuse going on in relation to that. He wasn't living there, but his tenants that were there. And I know he told me he was a referee for Bournemouth Football Club. Company's House search shows Harold G. Walker. Remember, this is the solicitors linked to Bournemouth Football Club that purchased that building. Okay, links to the Crays. Company's House shows Harold G. Walker Solicitors Limited had been incorporated as Harold G. Walker and Company in 1989, the year that the World Wide Web was created for CERN, before its name was changed for the only time on the 31st of March 2009, the year that I became a director for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated and connects most areas of the fraud. It has a registered address of Ringwood Road, Verwood in Dorset, not far away really from Exbourne Manor. Its incorporation document shows Nigel Leonard Blood of 84 Temple Chambers, Temple Avenue, and the London Law Agency on its incorporation document. This makes immediate connections to Keir Starmer, Madeline's Fund, leaving no stone unturned, Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, CERN, My Dream, and major areas of the criminal network as shown elsewhere. Martin Richard Hudson connects Harold G. Walker Solicitors Limited to 130 companies, including Slade Letts Limited. It was incorporated as Max Limited in 2003 before its name was changed on the 16th of February 2011, 6 days before the related Christchurch earthquake. 6 days. It has an address of 3 Durrant Road in Bournemouth. The address where Carter and Coley, the accountant for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, was based, where my investigations began and links massively to the international criminal network and the crimes against the children. The accountant for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. So we now have that link coming in from the building, not only to Exbourne Manor, also to the accountant that was filing the forged bank documents created by Lloyds Bank for Exbourne Manor. And remember, that accountant is linked to massive connections throughout the world in the world changes forever for the better. If you don't, they're cornered. All right, you can see how big this evidence is. They're cornered, and that means you're all in danger, I would think. So you really do need to honestly start following the strategy, even if it's just a small handful of you doing it. First Corporate Law Services of 16 Churchill Way, Cardiff is on the incorporation document linking to the fraud, as well as Vizard Property Limited is also shown. When checked, this shows that it was incorporated in 1999 and dissolved in 2024 as the exposure continued. And it has an address of Wimborne, the town where Deborah and John Fleming lived. I found out they've now moved from their house. So this tells you how much they're worried. They've moved from their house in Wimborne, where they've lived for a long time, it seems. Also, remember the World Wide Web creator, Tim Berners-Lee, had also lived in Wimborne in Dorset, which ties in with everything. There are links to companies in St Stephen's Road in Bournemouth, at the back of the council buildings and close to St Stephen's Court, that makes critical connections to the Doomsday Cult and is close to the Samaritans via my research. Hudson also connects to Neurolab Limited. Neurolab. Bearing in mind, we've got this risk to all of you of an escalation in technology, in science, linking in with potential transhumanism as well. We now have a neuro company, and it's not the only one. There's others, but I've just mentioned it. Neurolab Limited. You've got Julia's House, which is a charity, and the Business Film and Television Limited. Okay, where they'd been, where they had resigned in October 2009, shortly after the foundation of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, the incorporation, sorry, of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, which has Ingenious Film Partners 2 on its incorporation document. Well, listen to where this goes. Now, bearing in mind, we are coming in from the solicitors still, okay, via the research, which links to that building of the Craze, which links to Exbourne Manor, which links to my dreams, which links to my family, the Doomsday Cult and everything. And we've got now, we're coming in and listen to how important this becomes, because bearing in mind, this is so let me just give you the name of the company again. It's the business, and then in brackets, Film and Television Limited. All right, so remember, film and television, because that becomes important with what I'm about to tell you. The incorporation document for it shows first the incorporation document shows First Corporate Law Services of 16 Churchill Way in Cardiff on it, and H.G. Walker, and a company H.G. Walker and Company, with an address of Lansdowne House, Christchurch Road, Bournemouth, where directors of Exbourne Manor are connected to that exact same address, everybody. All right, they're the directors that called for me to be removed as a director when I refused to file the forged bank documents, everybody. Namely, I will mention Diana Bisson, or Bisson Simmons, who is linked to seismic activity companies, which seismic activity you generally relate to earthquakes. She is connected to seismic companies. She called for my removal from Export Manor. So it looks as though they're all involved in trying to falsify the tribulation event in relation to a doomsday cult and using the collider technology to do that. That's what all of the evidence is suggesting. Not only that, as I've said, we've got this building, Lansdowne House, Christchurch Road, Bournemouth. That's the same road where Export Manor is. Now, Lansdowne House also becomes relevant because Lansdowne Club, which I now think is going to be one or the other was named after the other, Lansdowne Club links to the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table. If you go and research the Honourable Society of the Knights of the Round Table, you will see that it holds meetings at the Lansdowne Club in London. All right, now that I've researched that, and it links all into Export Manor Freehold Limited again. Michelle Claude Orquette connects the business in brackets Film and Television Limited to 10 companies, including James Cameron and Associates LLP, where they had been appointed in 2008 and resigned on the 12th of July 2012, 8 days after CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson, a God particle. The company had been incorporated in July 2007, between Madeleine McCann going disappearing and Export Manor Freehold Limited being incorporated. Titanic director James Cameron has already been linked to Ingenious Films and to me. Remember, we've got this connection here, James Cameron and Associates now, linking immediately into Export Manor, linking with the craze, linking with the World War, linking with all of this, tying in now James Cameron Associates. Now, my favourite movie, remember, is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And that came out in 1991, and James Cameron was the director for that movie. Now, he links via the movie that he did called Avatar that came out in 2009, the same year that I became a director of Export Manor, that is about the transference of conscience into an avatar. What have we been talking about, everybody? That links to Ingenious Film Partners. Ingenious Film Partners, go and look at it. If you go and look at Avatar on Wikipedia, search the page for Ingenious, you'll see it links to Avatar, Ingenious. Ingenious Film Partners 2 is on page 40 of the incorporation document for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Okay, but just to confirm it even more, so remember, we've come in from here. Many of the companies in the area of this research around this James Cameron Associates has Helliting House, Helliting House, in their registered address. A search of Helliting House shows a company's house record for SSJR Helliting House Limited, having been incorporated in 2018 and having an address in Christchurch in Dorset. Remember, this is where we're looking at, the area of Christchurch where this Cray Twins building was. And this is around 7 miles from Bournemouth, where Export Manor is. SSJR Limited, Guild House, and some other company details are on the incorporation document of an address of Bournemouth on the incorporation document. Thomas Gordon Brown connects this company to 19 companies, most of which are ingenious companies. Bearing in mind what I've just told you, loads of ingenious companies, including Ingenious Apex Limited. And Peter Francis Touche, or Touche, Touche, connects this company to 29, including Proper Films, in brackets, Emily Limited, that leads to Blood Sisters, a company called Blood Sisters. Touche also connects to Ingenious Media Finance Limited, and Ingenious Media Holdings Limited had already been shown in the research of the Dunblane massacre. Touche also connects to Medway Films and Derwent Films LLP that makes critical immediate connections throughout the criminal network, including the intelligence agencies again, the Satanic Temple United Kingdom again, the Goldsmiths, Sweeney Todd, vampirism, as shown throughout the document. That now links the building to vampirism, Sweeney Todd, the blood of the tortured children, to the craze, to Export Manor, to everything that I'm telling you about extremely quickly. Another website appears to link Profuma of, this is very important. This is thanks to somebody else that gave me this information. Another website appears to link the Profumo affair, Profumo, affair, to Osmsley Manor in its summary, but the article appears to have been blocked from access. Now, I've got a screenshot of the summary confirming Osmsley House is linked to the Profumo affair. Now, I'd never heard of the Profumo affair. You probably have. Look how unbelievably critical this now is, everybody. I'll just have a break for a second. So let me just have a break. Let's just have a look at the comments for a minute. Such a shame we haven't got more people on here, because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely overwhelming. Someone's put Ewan McCameron was the torturer at Montreal Hall, MK Ultra. He has an RAF base in Inverness, housing immigrants. Grandfather of David Cameron. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, he was involved in the MK Ultra program, wasn't he? In the torture. He's within my document. We need to start a fund for Gary. There is no, there'll be no legal. They're all compromised. There's no, you wouldn't be able to get legal support to help me. Thank you very much. But the whole legal system is set up around this. You won't be able to find a solicitor that will do it. All right. They're all, and it will be compromised anyway, because they're all involved and connected to the torture and murder of babies and children, according to the research. They're at least all facilitating it deliberately, knowingly. Thank you very much for offering. Hang on, it's really hard to read the comments. Hang on, it's still light where you are, Gary. Yeah, it depends where I am. How do we stop the corrupt governments and companies? You need to make citizens arrests, like now. You need to start arresting. Start with the solicitors. Give the police a chance to do their job. If they don't, then you're going to have to arrest the police. Actually do it. Yeah, absolutely. You just need. Look, you don't. It's so simple, everybody. It's so simple. I would have done this months ago if there wasn't an arrest warrant for me by myself. If you're not even to do it with a small, not even willing to do it with a small group of you, there's no hope for humanity. I mean, there's no hope for humanity, everybody. I would have gone there by myself and arrested these solicitors. That's what I would have done if there wasn't a potential arrest warrant for me. It does make sense. Someone's put blew up after being first journalist at the Dunblane scene. Yeah, I've researched both of the first journalists at the scene. They are linked into the fraud. So is the headmaster. So is the deputy headmaster or mistress. The judge. I've done the research. It's completely corrupted. I'm going to carry on because this is absolutely unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. This is possibly the most important. Well, I don't know. It's all important, but just listen to it. It's just absolutely incredible. So, if I can find it. So, the Profumo affair. Research shows that the Profumo affair was a major scandal in British politics during the early 1960s. John Profumo, born 1915 to 2006, that's the year that I moved from Kent to Dorset when the movie Da Vinci Code and Apocalypso came out, which was all relative. He was the 46-year-old Secretary of State for War in Harold Macmillan's Conservative government. He had an extramarital. Now, this is very important with the research I'm going to tell you afterwards. He had an extramarital affair with Christine Margaret Keeler, who was born in 42 and supposedly died 2017. after the Pizzagate scandal was being exposed and when Donald Trump was positioned. Remember, Donald Trump is linked to the Dunblane massacre. She was an English model and a showgirl, and they were had the affair in 1961. Okay, this was the same year that John F. Kennedy was positioned. Profumo denied the affair in a statement to the House of Commons in 1963, the same year that John F. Kennedy was supposedly assassinated. Weeks later, a police investigation proved that he had lied. The scandal severely damaged the credibility of Macmillan's government, and Macmillan resigned as Prime Minister in October 1963, calling it ill health. As I said, the same year that JFK was supposedly assassinated. The fallout contributed to the Conservative government's defeat by the Labour Party in 1964 general election. Companies House shows Profumo linked to two companies, including the Attlee Centre, Attlee, that was incorporated as the Attlee Foundation in January 2001 on the lead up to the World Trade Center deception. The incorporation document shows a sticker placed over the box at the bottom with ICOM on it, ICOM, and Emma Laycock. Emma Laycock and ICOM makes important connections throughout my research to the fraud and is shown throughout the document, including to James Futers in the research of the death of Stuart Lubbock, linked to the death of Michael Jackson, to Rushmore Citizens Advice Bureau in the research of Richard Knighton, positioned as the head of the UK military in 2025 as I continued the exposure, to the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, to Jimmy Savile, CERN, criminal leads companies, where Jimmy Savile was born, and the criminal court case against me by family court judge Alison Lowe, who links to all of those things I've just told you about, and to LGBT, an LGBT company, in other words, transgenderism, coming from the research of the National Police Service and major drug trafficking linked to the police service, with them seemingly involved in the drug trafficking. £40 million of drug trafficking in 2002 appears to be linking in with the police, them involved. Sandra Mostafa Kabir connects the Attlee Centre to 15 companies, including Money Ready, criminal company Friends of Bangladesh, British Overseas NGOs for Development Bond, that features in various times throughout my research, and to criminal United Nations companies, started with the same companies as Exborn Manor Freehold Limited. So let that just sink in. All right. So coming in from the Profumo affair, linking, it seems, to that building, linking to Exborn Manor, criminal United Nations companies, linking in with the Cray twins and the as Exborn Manor Freehold Limited, criminal organisations given the ability to launder the money from the innocents through the conflicts and United Nations and NATO. Where else are we going with that? So yeah, not only oh yeah, so here we go. So where do I get to with that? So we've got to mention that United Nations company. Okay, well, just to support it even more, it links to sexual and reproductive health matters, SRHM in brackets, that have been incorporated in 1994, and on the registered address for that is 71 to 75 Shelton Street in Covent Gardens, London, which I'd already linked to NATO, the United Nations, from a separate angle of research. This isn't even coming in from you've got multiple links in now, everybody, to this, all crime, all linked into the blood of the children, the abuse, torture, and murder of babies and children. Now, on LinkedIn with the so you seriously need to stop doing it, because they are whatever. But what that is doing is separating you from the creator anyway, because what it's doing is creating irrationality in your thought processes. Okay, so in other words, you end up saying and doing things you wouldn't normally do. Okay, now you've been given an incredible gift by the creator through clarity and moral conscience to actually protect you, keep you safe, and actually give you complete fulfillment in life through that. It's the system and what they've given to you through the system that has removed that and has made you stressed, made you unhappy, made you feel as though you need substances to relax. This is part of the blood of the children. That means you all need to be focused on protecting the children. Even those of you, most of you that are involved in drugs, care about a child and a baby and do not want that child to be harmed. Well, all of it is tying into the crimes against the babies and the children. And they are behind, as I've said, the drug trafficking, the alcohol, all of the world's problems. They're behind the rehabilitation for those problems, which means you now all have a moral responsibility to stop facilitating this criminal network for the sake of the babies and the children. And I promise you, when you are thinking clearly, okay, you will feel so empowered. You will feel so empowered that you are, and you will feel close to the creator. I can almost guarantee it. You'll just feel just so much better than what you do in your life at the moment. Look at what I'm going through. Look at how I'm still able to function, able to still laugh a bit and, you know, do the research that I'm doing. I shouldn't even be able to function, everybody. It's because of the clarity and the rationality that I've got, because I'm not abusing myself with any substances. It really is important, everybody, because it's all tied into the blood of the children. So every time you anyway, the incorporation document shows Amparo Claro connected to ISIS International. And page 7, which appears to make a reference to Egyptian goddess, page 7 shows Francis Kissling of an address in Washington, D.C., and being the president for Catholics of Free Choice. Now, remember what I've said about the falsification of what am I trying to say? The falsification of a prophetic conclusion in this, leading into a tribulation event. We've now got the linking into the Catholic organizations from this incorporation document, and we've got a link into United States, into Washington, D.C., and it all links into the United Nations and into NATO. Now, of course, they would have infiltrated all of the a minute. Okay, we're back. I think, are we back? 122 people. I think we're back. Okay. What's that? Oh, it's cat. What's that on the screen? It looks as though there's something at the bottom of my picture. Anyway, I'm not going to be too much longer because it is now starting to get quite dark here, and although my phone is lighting my face up, so I probably can continue for a bit, but my battery's dying as well. So we've got this link to the Catholics for a Free Choice, and we've got an address in Washington, D.C. I think what they're trying to do, a big part of this, is destroy all faiths, okay, and bring about the light of Lucifer, which is what it says on the Albert Pike letter, which would help remove moral conscience from humanity, right? The faith is what keeps you in check through moral conscience to protect you as an individual and protects everyone else from you. The Shelton Street address that we mentioned connects throughout the fraud as shown throughout the document. This includes the research of Stephen Hervé. This is immediately, who was the judge in the inquiry for Princess Diana's death in Paris. Angela Rayner, positioned as the Deputy Prime Minister in 2024. To Sweeney Todd Group again, which means the link to the vampirism. To paedophile information, paedophile Jonathan King, who was convicted in September 2001, same month as the World Trade Center disaster. To Lee Clegg of the World Marshall Authority, linked to the United Nations. It links to NATO. It links to missing Georgina Gisela. This is the address, 7175 Shelton Street. The Southport stabbings of 2024. Anthony and Nicole Kidman. The Stephen Lawrence inquiry. The threat from directed energy and CERN via FCC companies, likely relating to the Future Circular Collider program. To the Doomsday Cult. To Sasha Stone via the ITNJ, that links to a former CIA agent. To the Blood of the Tortured Children via that research. And to